Let's dive into Libsyn, and I'm going to show you how to upload your podcast. I know this isn't going to be helpful for people who aren't using Libsyn, but if you're curious about how Libsyn works and you're thinking maybe you're going to use Libsyn, keep watching and I'll show you what they offer for your podcast. When you log in, you get to your dashboard and you have some quick things that you can do. You can see all the stats from your podcast plays. You can see that since July or February, so it's about 6 months, I've had over 35,000 listens. You can click view all stats to see more stats. So I'll go ahead and do that to show you. You can break it down by month or by podcast. So you see here how many listens or actually downloads per podcast. So this isn't a perfect stat for how many listens because a lot of people listen to the podcast and actually don't download it. And I'd be interested to see actually how much typically a podcast is listened to based off of how many people are downloaded. You have a quick publish option if you want to quickly publish a show right from your home page. I'm going to show you how I typically do it, but if you click content, this is where you can see all of the podcasts that you've added and that have been published. Over on the left, you have your menu and you can see which ones are scheduled for release. You definitely want to be batch producing your podcast or at least batch scheduling them so you're not having to be there the day that you want it to be scheduled, and pick a day and time of the week to publish every week so people get used to it and are excited about listening to your podcast every week. So right now you can see that I have 4 more podcasts lined up. The last one is August 28th. I actually have a new podcast that I recorded, so I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. So what you need to do is click add new content, or from the content menu up here, just click add new episode. It's going to ask you what you want. I'm going to do an episode, not a text post. Now you get to your content creation page. So the first thing I'm going to do is click add media file to choose the MP3 file that I'm opening. I have the populate form with ID3 data, and I'll actually include a lesson after this about how to use or add ID3 data, which is so important for podcasts. It's basically the metadata that's added to a file that Libsyn will read, that iTunes will read to get the podcast image, description, name, and that kind of thing. So all I have to do is click upload from hard drive, then I find it. And you'll notice that the name of the file itself does not match the name of the podcast episode. So I have all of my podcasts numbered. So 35 is Dashima. It's going to upload, and then it's going to populate more of the information with what's from the ID3 tags. Once it has uploaded, we can go to the next tab, which is the details tab. And you can see that the title is here, and then it has a description. Now the description here sometimes gets shortened because it might have a text character limit. So I'm just going to paste the full description that I took from the ID3 tag. Here we're in the ID3 editor. You can see that I have the full description here, and that's where I take it from. I'll walk through this in the next lesson though. So make sure that everything looks good. Title, don't need a subtitle. The description is good because that's what shows up in the iTunes description. Category, you want to put the category. I've already added this from the ID3 tags. The rest of these things I leave blank because what we've added to the ID3 tags is enough information. Click artwork to make sure that our artwork is visible. And then lastly, click scheduling. So what I'll do is a basic release expiration. I don't actually have an expiration date. So I'll just click to set a new release date. Choose the date, which will be the first week of September. I always release them at 3 a.m. Pacific time. So that's going to be 6 a.m. Eastern time, which is where a lot of my audience is. And that's pretty much it. If you made any changes, you can click this update ID3 tags. For example, if you change the title or something like that, but I'm going to leave it as is, and then click publish. Make sure you click publish and not just save as draft because this doesn't mean it's live. It just means that it's published and will be in queue for scheduling. Now, even before it goes live, we can link out to this episode. We could embed it on our website. For example, on the Online Course Masters website for all of our blog articles, we include the audio player for this podcast. And that comes from Libsyn. There's different audio players out there, but I just take the embed code. I use this custom code down here, or the custom player, and then I choose the custom color. And I have my color set up right here for my branding. Once you've set up your settings, just click the preview, get embed code, and you just take this code and you put that on any website page or blog post. The other thing you'll want to do when you get set up is go to settings and then edit show settings. And here's where you just put the general information for your show, including the show title, the show slug, which is kind of like the URL for the show description using keywords that people will be searching for, and the web address. You can also add any of this other information, but it's not necessary for getting on iTunes and the other podcast feeds. You can add your artwork here, which is helpful for certain podcast feeds because different feeds will pull from Libsyn. If you have it already set up for your episodes, that's perfectly fine too. Some podcast feeds such as Stitcher have a wide image, so you might want to create a widescreen 16:9 image that you upload here too. Also under settings, or if you click on the show settings menu down here to episode defaults, this is a good setting to set if you have specific settings for all of your episodes. For example, if you do have cussing in your show, you want to make sure that your iTunes style rating is set to explicit. You can set this for every individual episode, but you won't want to forget. You can also choose your category here, which is important so that you're always posting to the same category unless something changes, but typically you'll want to post to the same category. Under destinations, if you click edit or view existing, this is where you see your podcast feed. This is where you'll be posting into iTunes or the other marketplaces to get your show onto those platforms. So that's just sort of a rundown of how Libsyn works. If there's any questions that you have that I didn't cover, please let me know. It's fairly simple to use. And in the next lessons, we're going to be going over things like the ID3 tags and getting your podcast onto iTunes.